uh, I started. So I bought big cardboards and crayons and everything else. At the time I was going to Valley College, I was trying to do a lot of things at the same time. So anyway, I bought those things and I started bringing them veterans' attention. We're trying to organize a American Legion post in South Colton, so-and-so date. Please attend. So I went to the merchants bench in South Colton. I went to Cervantes. I went to Navarro. I went to the little street up in South Colton, 5 stores. I said, would you mind you put this thing in the window? I said, go ahead. And so I went to the American Legion 150th. I said, I don't have anything anywhere to meet. Well, you can meet here. So they gave me for one night, they gave me the hall to meet. And surprisingly, there was quite a bit of people there, and I was really surprised. But the thing is, they didn't have any money. They didn't want to quit drinking their beer at the end of the day. So I said, you know what? If 15 guys fill up, you give me $250, I'll put $250 to make it $5. Just give me $250. I didn't have any money. So I had to borrow somewhere to cover the things. Luckily, I think all of them except 2 or 3 didn't pay me back, but that's okay.
So what was the name of your post? Was it Fidel Hernandez, the post?
Mm-hmm.
What was the post? What was the name of the post?
Fidel Hernandez was the first Mexican-American from South Colton to get killed in the Second World War from Colton.
Right.
So we named him to...
Named it after him.
You're responsible for Fidel Hernandez post then?
Well,
Yes, say yes.
Unofficially, I guess, but nobody knows about that.
You know, Sal, you know, Francis, I've been trying to find out about the post, the Fidel Hernandez post, and I couldn't get any information, so...
He just told you?
I know. I finally got it here at the interview.
Let me tell you something, and I think we all know this. There's something about us that keeps us from doing that. I've been going to reunions. I go to reunions. My own reunion in Wilson. I go there, and they won't talk to me. I've gone to Cage Park, and I've seen all these people that went to school with me in Wilson and Garfield, and I had to get up and say, I'm Sal, I went to school with you. Yeah, I know. And you know, so finally I thought, you know what, I don't know. After 50 years, I don't want to do that anymore.
Well, Sal, I'm delighted that you started the post, the Fidel Hernandez post, one of the first veterans from Colton that got killed in World War II. That's great. Now tell me, how was it growing up in a segregated community? How was growing up in a segregated community in Colton? Colton was segregated.
How was it? Was that a difference? How they didn't like the Mexican people in Colton? How was it for you? How was it when it was segregated when you were growing up? You came to the show, you better get home before it started.
The class discrimination?
Yes.
It was understood. It wasn't anything in writing. But every day after 9 o'clock, no Mexican-American kids would be north of the railroad tracks.
9 p.m.?
9 o'clock, you go back. The chief of police, Chief Hobbs, I was in my bike, and I was working at the baggage room in the Southern Pacific. I was going back. He was in a police car, and he was the chief there. And he stopped me. What are you doing? He says, I'm going home. Well, you know, it's after 9 o'clock. You shouldn't have been over there. He says, I'm working over there at the package house. Okay, well, get back over there.
And what other incidents did you experience, Sal? What other incidents of discrimination did you experience growing up in South Colton?
Well, mostly, to me, it was the attitude that hurt me. It was the attitude that I know that it was there,
Mhm.
but it was the way, the body language that's the one that hurt me more, you know. And so when I came back from the war, I says, you know what? This is the United States of America, and I was born here, and I deserve every right that this country gives. And nobody's going to do it to me anymore. I remember the salesman, the Anglo salesman that used to go to South Colton, and used to knock on the door. My mom used to open the door. My dad was working. We were small. Those guys would open up, go inside, and sit down in there when they were selling their wares. And there was no communication. And I say, what's this? We come from work. What's this guy doing here? And, well, he came in. He just came in. And so, if whatever he was selling, they gave him 50 cents or whatever, and they live. That's the thing that hurt me. So every time I see a salesman, it reminds me of that. See?
Yeah. What about going to the theater, the show, the new Colton or the Hub
theater was
Theater?
segregated. The ones on the left was the Mexican Americans or Mexicans. And there was just one section, 3/4 of it was the Anglos, even though it was empty, because during the Depression, then nobody had any money. Even the Anglos didn't have any money, some of them. So they had a whole bunch of, they had cushioned seats. Ours was hard seat, And the owner was a Jewish guy, Mr. Myers.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So that was discrimination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about other forms of discrimination, Sal? How about in school? I know that we were in the Mexican school in the Mexican part of town. How was any discrimination in our school, Garfield or Wilson?
You see the books at the beginning of the semester, beginning of the school year. The books were old books. Everyone said, "Wow, we get new books," but every year over there, new books every year over there. I guess their books.
Rejects, you
Dr.
got the
Sal Francis.
rejects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is services to South Colton. I know Maple Street was a dirt road back then. I know O Street, where I live, was a dirt road.
Oh yes, it was paved.
Yeah.
Maple Street, Walnut Street.
And you paid for,
The majority were dirt.
Right,
Dirt. No
right.
sewers. No sewers.
but you paid for them. My mother-in-law was charged for sewer, and she was not connected to the sewer.
Mm.
Yeah, no sewers. But when I came back, I went to the city, and I said, my parents have been there since 1906. They've been paying city taxes, county taxes, state taxes since 1906. We don't have the sewers. We don't have the curbs. We don't have the pavement. Well, we
Or
don't have any
street
money.
lights. We did not have street lights either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So I went to the county, and I saw the sanitation officer was a doctor. I forget his name. I think Dr. Kosan. And I said, I want to see the sanitation doctor from the county. So he came to the counter and says, sir, my name is so-and-so and I live in South Colton. And I went to the city and I tried to get a petition for the city to put some sewers and fix up the place. And they told me they didn't have any money. But every house has a hole in the ground for toilet facilities. Well, don't you think that water down there is beating all that stuff? So what are you gonna do? They tell me they don't have any money. So he said,
So
okay, what's your name? And I guess he called Colton, because about 3 or 4 months later they started putting the sewers.
Sal, you were quite a guy.
That was in when did I get over? 1946, 46, 1948.
They shouldn't have sent you to the war. They should have kept you home. Yeah. So
Just simple things like that.
very, very, very basic services that the city should provide. What about schooling, Sal? What about schooling? Any problems
Well-
with schools?
To me, something happened to me in the 6th grade. When the 5th grade got transferred to Lincoln, they had us segregated the second half of the 5th grade. But the next year, they said, boys and girls, Mrs. Snyder, boys and girls, next year, the 6th grade, you're gonna be in 2 6th grade classes. So you're gonna be with English speaking students. And that was a shock to me. That was a shock to me.
Why?
I feel intimidated because of my accent. And besides that, this is a secret. I stutter. And I don't know if you're stutterers here, but a stutterer, when you go before people like this, my heart starts pounding and starts sweating there.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Hanfield was my teacher, and she really gave me the screws. Because my name is Ayala, I was, Sally Oak was the first one, Salvador Ayala was the second one. So every time that she wanted somebody to get up and say something, Salvador, will you still do it? And here I am.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it. Here I am sweating, isn't it?
Oh.
And she enjoyed. Later on, I found out she enjoyed that. So I was tortured for that all 6th grade.
Well,
The 6th grade.
let me get this straight. At 5th grade, they took the kids from Garfield,
No, yeah, Garfield, yeah.
from Garfield to Lincoln
To
Yes.
Lincoln School
for that 1 year.
in the mid
You kept them
1935.
together. The first year, that class was together. The following year,
The
they
separate.
integrated them to the other classes.
And now I think, in their mind, they were trying to integrate. In their mind, they were trying to integrate to see what I never had a legal opinion of that because, you know, who cares? But I thought it was an experiment that they wanted to do,
Mhm.
and that was it. But I told my girl, and you know, my oldest girl is a teacher now, and yeah, the other one went to UCLA, but you know, she got married, and now I think she's in Seattle right now. With she has an employment by the Pembridge Jeweler, and their headquarters in Seattle. So she's over there in a meeting. But anyway, I tell her, this is what happened to me. And at first I said, I can't believe a teacher would do that. Says, well, they did it because they did it to me. And I can tell, and I can swear in the Bible what
Mhm.
happened to me. And so did these kids that were there. Sally Oak, one of the Hobbs, that was a later principal in one of the schools in Colton. He was there. McIntosh, one of the Wallace McIntosh, the guy from high school was there. So they know. They know what happened. So that's what happened.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The reason I'm doing that because I've gone to stutterers. I joined a stutterers association. It's a national thing. And
And he said he's
you
really-
you face your devils. You face your devils. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. No matter how much it costs you, but it cost me a lot.
Talking about devils, you left the service. What year did you leave the service? 45, 46?
Me, I registered in January 22nd, 1948.
Okay, 48. Now, Sal, how did you get the job with the post office?
I was living in East Los Angeles. I told Lily I was living in East Los Angeles at that time with my brother. I was staying with my brother. I was working in the LA County Hospital at that time. I was in the communicable disease unit. And I used to go to the post office and mail letters, and then a Mexican American working there in East Los Angeles station with a white shirt and a tie.
Mhm.
And I thought, you know, I'd like to do that, but I didn't know how hard it was in Colton to try to even ask to get a job. Just, oh no. Nah. Well, do you have an application? No, we don't have an application anyway.
Oh, you went to Colton Post Office and asked for an application?
Yeah, I knocked on the door in Colton,
Uh-huh.
and so that Cliff Ham, so the politician, I'd like to have an application to find employment in the post office department then. So we don't have any applications. Anyway, we don't have any openings. So Francis was working at a beauty shop, the Arcade Building in Colton.
Yes, I remember that,
And
yeah.
she knew the wife,
The wife
of
and
an
his
employee
mother.
there.
I know his wife and his mother. I used to do their hair.
Okay.
So he said, I'll ask my wife to give you an application. So he got an application to her. So I filled it out. And I went to San Bernardino, pulled it in, and I went to San Francisco. And then I was on the register. I bypassed them. So I took the examination and I passed it. And then it showed preference. The post office that were open says, I want Colton. And when I got it, they didn't know how I got in. And for 1 year, you're temporary. They can lay you off any time. They tried every which way to fire me. They gave me the worst jobs. I was working inside. They gave me the worst jobs. So they said, just, I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna quit. And you tried and I
But
didn't
then,
quit.
let me tell you, Tom, when they called him in eventually, when they called him in Colton, Cliff Ham was still the postmaster. And he said, well, you'll have to carry mail. I said, no, Cliff, he's not gonna carry mail. And he says, what do you mean? That's his job. I said, no, he's too small to be carrying mail, those big leather bags. I said, he's not gonna carry mail, he's gonna work inside. He looked at me and I said, that's right, he's gonna work inside. There's an opening. And so he always teased me, he's not gonna work outside. Well, every now and then when we're short-handed, he did go out. Sure enough, by the time he came back, he had purple marks or his skin had broken from carrying those big bags. But he always teased me, he's not gonna work outside. I said, that's right, he's not.
So you bypassed the process
Yeah.
and got in through, not going through the Colton office. They assign you to Colton, and then you're on probation for 1 year, and they try and do everything they can to fire you.
Yeah.
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 But you said, no, aquí me voy a quedar, I'm staying here. I'm staying here.
And it ended up for how many
See,
years?
in the post office, I don't know if you know, but inside the post office, they got all kinds of, talking about an NSA now. The post office had it then, I still have it. They had glass things and there's inspector, you don't know when the inspector's gonna be there watching you everywhere. Because they do steal money, people do steal money, we're human beings. And so, they tried every which way to leave something there so you could try to get it or whatever you do.
They
Or,
set you up. They
Yeah,
try to set
set
him
you
up,
up.
yeah, yeah. How long?
Because you're having thousands of dollars every day, So, but
And how long did you work for the post office?
I worked 33 and a half years.
33 and a half years?
Yeah.
And Francis, you said you worked too. Where did you?
I worked in the beauty shop, but before he gets off of that, the post office, the last time when he retired, talking of discrimination, there was a gentleman that was in the service, got out, he got off working for the post office. He made his life miserable, that I thought he was gonna have a nervous breakdown. At one time, it got so bad, he went to the doctor, and he just had to get out because he was pushing and pushing and pushing, He was one of those, I don't know if he was from the south or where in the heck he was, but he was a miserable man. To the point that he made Sal and other people very close in losing their whole retirement. Tello Duarte was one of them. He was
Tello?
after Tello Duarte real
Yeah.
bad. Yeah. So even after he worked in the post office for many years, he still ended up by being mistreated because of one individual. Not because of what the organization is supposed to be, because they allow somebody to do their own thing and don't. And unfortunately, the postmaster was even Mexican. You think that he would have looked after that, but he didn't.
So it was very, very difficult
To work, yes.
to work there for all the Mexicans that were there, Mexican
there's
Americans
only-
that were there.
Well, I wouldn't say all of them, because you know, in 33 years, the young and coming kids, you know, they had college education, so they were more savvy. But the older guys like us, you know, we're set in our ways, you know, because we came from the Depression, you know, we came from nothing to this, and that was